Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Tuggle Brother. It's Sean again. Listen, I want to show you guys a couple of phrases, a couple of systems that are in place in aviation. Now, this typically applies to commercial jet aviation. Some of them can still apply to private aviation or general aviation, okay, as it's really commonly referred to, all right? But these are some of the components and the systems that you will see, okay? So, I want to start off with these guys here. These are the throttles. Now, this particular thing is called the throttle quadrant. You guys can see where I'm going with this. You got the quads here. You got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, if you remember back in the 40s and 50s, Boeing had the 747, okay? The 700 and 800 series. And so they needed 4 controls to be able to operate each separate individual engine for the power, okay? So they needed a big system to be able to operate them individually. Hence, you have the throttle quadrant. Okay, so these levers push forward for increase and or come back towards you for a decrease in throttle, okay? But you might be asking what these little mechanisms are on the front, okay? These little lever triggers in the front, okay? It's a very vital system in aviation. We call this reverse thrust, okay? If you guys have ever seen videos of planes coming in, or you've ever flown next to a window seat and you've looked outside and you see the engine start opening up like, is that normal? Well, guys, I'm here to tell you that that in fact is normal, okay? That is to allow the airflow to, instead of coming out the back of the engine causing propulsion, to come out the front of the engine cowl, pushing the plane backwards, reverse thrust, like putting a car back into reverse. You're not going forward, you're going backwards. But they have no transmission. It's all done by induction of air, okay? So, and we'll talk a bit about how the engines and the heat and all that work and flow and create the propulsion, all right? But anyway, so this would be your thrust reverser, okay? Typically what happens is when a pilot is in reverse thrust, okay, they will grab the controls like this, right, side by side, and this follows the pilot wherever it goes, whether it's up here, up here, up here, up here, right, wherever it might be, okay? And then all the pilot would have to do is reach out and grab it, lift it up, put it in place, and then slowly bring it back down. Now, typically what would happen is a pilot on descent would take the controls and slowly start pulling it down, almost like letting off on the gas in a car, right? An SUV, a car, minivan, whatever you call it, right? And then just about as he gets to the bottom of, or the end of the decrease in throttle, okay? Just about he's ready to touch down, they would grab the actual speed throttle thrust reverser, okay? And they would grab it and pull back, all right? Now, if they need more thrust reversed, they would push it together up and then go back and then bring it back down, okay? Do you guys understand that? All it takes is the flick of a lever, right? And then it's in there. Now, some systems actually have it integrated where all you would do is pull it back about this much, and the space that's left down here, okay, in this dead voided area, as soon as they pull back, right, on the actual levers, when they pull back, That is to increase the throttle on the reverse, all right? So let's go into another section of this quadrant, okay? That is the flap section, all right? You know when you guys are sitting in the window seat and you see that little thing at the back end of the wing come out and extend, okay? And it extends down. It looks like it curves down. By default, planes need lift to be able to get off the ground, okay? So what's happening is air is flowing under the wing and over the wing. But most of the air is going over the edge of the wing so that underneath it can give it some lift, okay? Well, in order to get up off the ground and up high at a pretty decent angle, what has to occur is you'd have to give more surface area. So you'd have to extend the flaps, okay? Typically, when the flap mechanism is all the way forward, okay, toward the glass, and remember, this is near the pilot, and this is towards the back of the plane, the tail. These levers here, these little funny levers here, are towards the nose. So the flap up here in the furthest toppest position means the flaps are null and void. They're not being used. They're at 0, okay? 0%, okay? Typically what would happen, now it's not effectively done on here because you won't see it done on there, is they would lift this up, right? They would physically lift it up and then pull it down and lift it back down. The reason for this is because pilots would actually have to physically pull it up, move it, lift it down. So they couldn't just hit it by their fingers and say, uh-oh, we're, reducing drag. Now, they also have some systems that prevent them from doing that to the throttles as well. And I'll explain that in another video. But this video is all about some systems that the pilot or co-pilot or captain or FO is using while it's flying, okay? So this would be your flap lever. All the way down would be fully extended. All the way forward would be fully retracted. You guys understand how that works? All right, you guys get that? It's the same thing similar to the spoiler, or we call this speed brake, okay? When the speed brake lever is all the way forward, that means it's fully retracted. And when the speed lever is all the way downward, it means it's fully extended, meaning the lever on the speed brake is, the flap on the speed brake is fully upwards, right? Allowing the air to flow on top to slow the airplane down, okay? So, and the last thing I want to share with you guys, and this is critical because this is exactly what our channel's name is all about. You guys ready? It has to do with this little button here. Do any of you guys know what that little button is? Okay? On this little gizmo here. Right there. And it has to do with the pilot or co-pilot pushing and adding throttle. Okay? Have you guys ever heard of a pilot captain saying we need to go around? Okay? You ever heard that phrase? Do you guys know what go around is? There's an issue on the runway and they can't land, or they don't have a visible clearance into the runway. It's a bad approach. They have to go try this again, or go around. GA, go around, okay? This lever enables the pilot, okay? Typically what happens in the throttles is there's a dead area, okay? So this would be full throttle. But you guys notice there's empty voided space in the front, right? You can actually use more throttle. It's like, well, if I'm paying for this much, I should be able to use all of this much. Not quite, because you're actually having to pay more to be able to get more, right? Kind of the same thing, right? So that button on the side is what you call toga, okay? take off or go around. So what would typically occur inside of the controls when the captain is making his final turn to hit the runway to take off, and this usually is when he goes to the runway, waits, and starts to roll, okay? The pilot would get his engines to about idle so that he can wait for the clearance to be able to take off, right? And then he would slowly get to about 60 or 70%, okay? To make sure that the engines are stable, right? Under high performance, and I say high performance, but really under full takeoff power, okay? Because it's a fan, it's a system of fans that are rotating pretty quickly, right? You want to make sure that it's efficient and stable, okay? So what they would do is they would push this button and push it into takeoff or full power to be able to give the plane lift and enough power for that, because you only have so much runway and you have a lot of this weight, okay? There's the noon clock. Sorry, guys. Anyway, so that's what that switch is all about. But you guys also learned what our channel is all about, is toga. Now, toga is more than full power, okay? It's additional maximum thrust, okay? Now, us at the Toga Brothers channel go above and beyond. We go, we exceed your expectations, and we go ourselves, and we put ourselves out there for all of you guys and your enjoyment and your understanding, okay? Because aviation is very hard and sometimes difficult to understand, and things don't always make sense. But when you think of it, it makes sense too, right? So that's why we call ourselves the Toga Brothers, because we exceed and go beyond the expectations that's been asked of us, all right? So that's what this channel is all about. It's Toga Power, all right? Well, guys, I hope you guys like this. That's what the Toga throttle buttons and throttle levers and reverse thrust levers are all about. All right? You guys stick around. I'll put some more content, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.